Amina woke up that morning feeling the weight of Lagos heat on her skin. She looked at herself in the mirror of her small apartment and smiled. She was 25 years old, beautiful, and working as a marketing manager at one of the biggest companies in Lagos. Life was good. She had fought hard to get where she was, coming from a family that did not have much money. Her parents had given her education, and she had made something of herself. She wore nice clothes now, drove a car, and had a good salary. This was her dream coming true. That afternoon, Amina got into her white Toyota car and started driving to visit her mother. The sun was very hot and the air was dry. She played music on the radio and felt happy. She thought about the promotion she might get at work. Maybe she would become the head of the marketing department soon. She imagined herself in a bigger office with her own table and telephone. These dreams made her smile as she drove through the busy streets of Lagos. But suddenly the car made a strange sound. It went from smooth to rough, and Amina felt something was wrong. She pressed the gas pedal, but the car was not moving right. There was smoke coming from under the hood. She tried to drive to the side of the road and the car stopped completely. Amina sat in the driver's seat, feeling frustrated and angry. She hit the steering wheel with her hand. This was not supposed to happen. She had a very important meeting at her mother's house, and now she was stuck on this road with her broken car. A young man appeared at her car window. He was wearing old clothes with oil stains on them. His hands were dirty and his shoes were worn out. But his face was kind and his smile was warm. His name was Kunal, and he was a mechanic who worked in a small garage not far from where Amina's car had stopped. He asked her if he could help, and Amina nodded, feeling a little bit better. Kunal opened her car hood and looked inside for a long time. He knew cars very well. His father had been a mechanic too, and Kunal had learned this work since he was a small boy. He understood every part of the engine like it was his friend. After about 30 minutes, Kunal fixed the problem. It was something with the engine that had broken. He explained it to Amina in a simple way so she could understand. Amina was surprised by how nice he was to her. He did not act like she was below him or like she was stupid for not understanding cars. Instead, he treated her with respect. When she asked how much she owed him, Kunal smiled and said it was nothing. He was just happy he could help. Amina gave him some money anyway because she felt it was right, and Kunal took it but said the real payment was seeing her smile. After that day, Amina could not stop thinking about the kind mechanic. A few days later, she drove back to the garage, pretending her car needed something else. But really she wanted to see Kunal again. When she saw him, her heart beat very fast. Kunal was happy to see her too. He greeted her with a big smile and asked how her car was working. They talked for a long time that day. Kunal told her about his dreams. He wanted to own a bigger garage one day. He wanted to help poor people by fixing their cars at very low prices. He wanted to make enough money to help his family. He spoke with passion about these dreams, and Amina found herself falling for him. Over the next few months, Kunal and Amina spent a lot of time together. He would finish work at the garage and they would sit together in the evening talking about life and their dreams. Kunal was simple and honest. He worked very hard every day and his hands were always dirty, but his heart was pure gold. He loved Amina deeply. He looked at her not just as a beautiful woman, but as a person he wanted to build a life with. He saw her intelligence, her hard work, and her kindness. One evening, under the stars, Kunal went down on one knee and asked Amina to marry him. He did not have a fancy ring, but he had made it from a piece of silver with his own hands. Amina cried tears of joy and said yes. She loved him too. But happiness does not last when other people decide they want something different for you. Amina's mother found out about Kunal. She was not happy. She said a mechanic was not good enough for her daughter. Her mother told her that Amina had studied hard and gotten a good job, and now she should marry someone rich and powerful, not someone poor who worked with his hands all day. Amina's aunts and uncles said the same thing. They said she would suffer if she married a poor man. They painted a picture of a hard life, struggling to pay for food and rent, having many children and no money to care for them. These words hurt Amina's heart. Then one day, a man named Malik came into Amina's life. He was rich. He owned several businesses in Lagos. He drove expensive cars, wore expensive clothes, and had a big house in a very nice part of the city. When Malik saw Amina at a party, he wanted her. He started to visit her at work with gifts and flowers. He gave her expensive jewelry and took her to fancy restaurants. Her family pushed her toward him. They said this was the life she should have. They said Malik was successful and would make her happy. Amina was confused. She loved Kunal, but her family made her feel like she was making a mistake. They made her feel ashamed of loving a poor man. Day after day, they told her that marrying Kunal would ruin her life. Slowly, doubt began to grow in her heart. What if they were right? What if she would suffer? What if she would regret choosing love over security? One day, Amina made a decision that would change everything. She decided to break up with Kunal. When she told him, Kunal's face became very sad. He asked her why, and Amina could not look him in the eyes. She told him it was because he was poor and could not give her the life she wanted. She said harsh words that were not true, but she said them anyway to make him leave her alone. She told him that she did not love him, that she had only played with his heart. Kunal listened to all of this without saying much. Tears rolled down his face, but he did not cry out loud. He just turned around and walked away. That was the day Kunal's heart broke into pieces, and that was the day Amina chose money over love. She did not know then that this choice would haunt her for the rest of her life. Kunal sat alone in his small garage that night after Amina left him. The place was dark and cold. He had spent so many evenings here dreaming about his future with her, imagining them together, planning their life. Now all those dreams felt empty and broken. He cried for hours, his tears mixing with the oil stains on his hands. His heart felt like it had been crushed under a heavy stone. He could not understand how she could say those cruel words to him. He thought about every moment they had shared, every laugh, every touch of her hand. It all felt like a lie now. For many days, Kunal felt like he did not want to live anymore. He went to work, but his mind was not there. He would look at a car and think about Amina. He would hear a song on the radio and remember dancing with her. Everything reminded him of her. His friends at the garage noticed he was sad and they tried to help him. They told him that there were other women in the world, that he would forget her and find happiness again. But Kunal did not believe them. He felt like his life was finished. One day an old man came to the garage. His name was Chief Okafor and he was a successful businessman. He brought his car to Kunal for repairs and while he waited, he talked to the young mechanic. Kunal was so sad that he told Chief Okafor everything about Amina and how she had left him for a richer man. Chief Okafor listened carefully, and then he said something that changed Kunal's life. He said, "Young man, pain is a teacher. Every great person in this world has experienced pain and loss. What matters is not what happens to you but what you do with what happens to you. You can sit and cry forever or you can use this pain to build something great." Those words hit Kunal like lightning. He realized that Amina's rejection did not have to destroy him. Instead, it could be the fuel that pushed him forward. If she wanted a rich man, then he would become rich. But not for her anymore, but for himself. He would prove that a poor mechanic could become successful through hard work and determination. That very day, Kunal made a promise to himself. He would transform his small garage into something big and important. Kunal started to work even harder than before. He woke up at 4 in the morning and worked until 10 at night. He learned everything about cars that he could learn. He read books about business and economics. He took courses in car technology and modern repair methods. He saved every naira he earned and reinvested it back into his garage. He bought better tools and equipment. He hired more workers and trained them well. His reputation grew. People from all over Lagos started coming to his garage because they knew Kunal would fix their cars properly and fairly. After 2 years, Kunal had enough money to open a second garage in another part of the city. After 4 years he had opened 3 more garages. After 6 years he was no longer just a mechanic. He had started buying and selling cars. He became an agent for car imports and exports. He invested in a training center where he taught young people how to repair and maintain cars. His business grew like a tree in the rain, spreading its branches in every direction. People started to know his name and respect his work. By the 10th year after Amina left him, Kunal had become a millionaire and then a billionaire. He owned car dealerships, repair shops, import businesses and technology companies. He was respected across the whole country. Politicians and big business people wanted to talk to him and work with him. But money was not the only thing Kunal gained. He became a wise and kind person. He did not forget the poor people who had helped him when he was struggling. He gave jobs to hundreds of people. He started a charity that helped poor families. He built schools for children who could not afford education. Kunal had turned his pain into purpose, and his purpose had made him great. Now let us look at Amina's story during these same 10 years. After Kunal left her, she married Malik in a big wedding ceremony. Her family was very happy. They celebrated because their daughter had married a rich man. The wedding was held in one of the best hotels in Lagos, and important people came to celebrate. Amina wore a beautiful white dress and for one moment she felt like her life was perfect. She had gotten what she wanted. She had chosen money and security over love and now she had it. But very soon, Amina discovered that money cannot buy happiness. In fact, money can sometimes hide unhappiness very well. Malik was not the kind man he had pretended to be when he was courting her. After marriage he became controlling and mean. He told her what to wear, where to go, and who she could talk to. He kept all the money and gave her only a small amount for household expenses. If she questioned him about anything, he would shout at her and call her names. She felt very small and worthless when she was with him. Amina also discovered that Malik was unfaithful. She found phone numbers of other women in his phone. She saw messages that made her cry. When she asked him about these women, he told her it was none of her business. He said that a man like him could do whatever he wanted. He told her that she should be grateful he had married her at all. Amina felt trapped. She was living in a big, beautiful house with servants and expensive things, but she was not happy. She was like a bird in a golden cage. The cage was beautiful, but she could not fly. Years passed and Amina's heart became harder and colder. She stopped smiling. She stopped laughing. She would sit alone in the big house, thinking about Kunal and how different her life could have been. She remembered his kind smile and his warm voice. She remembered how he looked at her like she was the most important person in the world. She remembered how he held her hand and made plans for their future together. Now she was living with a man who did not love her and who made her feel like she was nothing. Amina also became lonely. She had no real friends. The women around her were only interested in money and gossip. Her own family did not visit her much because Malik did not like them. She had cut herself off from her mother and her siblings to be with Malik, and now she had no one to talk to. She cried many nights in her bedroom, wondering where Kunal was and if he was happy with someone else. During these 10 years, Amina heard stories about Kunal. She heard that his garage had become very successful. She heard that he was now a businessman with many companies. She heard that he was respected and famous. One day she saw his picture in a newspaper talking about his charity work. When she saw his face, her heart jumped in her chest. He was handsome and successful, just as she had always believed he could be. But it was too late. She had already made her choice and now she was paying the price for it. Amina realized that she had thrown away real gold for false silver, and there was no going back. The news came on a Tuesday morning. Amina was sitting in the living room, drinking tea and watching television, when she heard a report about Malik's company. The news anchor was talking about a big scandal. Malik's business, which everyone thought was legitimate and successful, was actually built on corruption and fraud. He had been stealing money from investors. He had been paying government officials to ignore his illegal activities. He had been involved in money laundering and other serious crimes. The police had arrested him and he was now in prison waiting for trial. Amina felt the teacup fall from her hands. It broke on the floor, but she did not even notice. She could not believe what she was hearing. Her husband, the man she had chosen over Kunal, the man she had sacrificed her happiness for, was a criminal. All the money he had, all the things he had bought, all the wealth that had impressed her so much, was built on lies and illegal activity. Amina's whole world started to shake and crack like an earthquake was breaking the ground beneath her feet. Within days the government came to their house. Officials with papers and serious faces told her that everything had to be taken. The house belonged to the government now because it was bought with stolen money. The cars in the garage had to be taken too. The expensive furniture, the art on the walls, the jewelry in her bedroom, all of it had to be seized. Amina watched as people came into her home and started removing things. She felt like she was watching her life being taken away piece by piece. But the worst was not finished. Amina discovered that Malik had not just stolen from the government and investors. He had also borrowed large amounts of money from banks and private lenders. Now that he was in prison, these debts fell on Amina. The banks sent her letters asking for money. The private lenders sent people to the house demanding payment. Amina had no money to give them. She had never worked while she was married to Malik. She had no income of her own. She had no savings. She had nothing. Within 3 months, Amina lost the house. The bank took it because she could not pay the mortgage. She had to move out with only a few suitcases of clothes and personal items. She went to her mother's house hoping for help and comfort. But her mother was angry with her. Her mother said that she had warned Amina not to marry Malik. She said that Amina had been greedy and selfish, choosing money over love and family. Her mother said she was ashamed of her daughter. She let Amina stay for only 2 weeks and then she asked her to leave. Her other siblings also refused to help her. They did not want to be associated with the scandal. Amina found herself alone on the streets of Lagos. She had no home, no family support, no money and no job. She was 35 years old and she felt like her life was over. She rented a very small room in a poor neighborhood, far from the fancy areas where she used to live. The room was hot and dirty. The walls had stains on them. There was one small window that did not close properly. The toilet was broken, and she had to share it with 5 other families who lived in the same building. This was a far cry from the mansion she had lived in just months before. Amina had to find work immediately because she had no money to pay rent and buy food. She went to many companies looking for a job, but no one would hire her. Everyone knew about the scandal. Everyone knew that her husband was in prison for fraud. People looked at her with disgust and suspicion. They thought that maybe she was involved in his crimes too. They did not want to give her a chance. Door after door closed in her face. Interview after interview ended with the same result, a rejection. Finally, in desperation, Amina took a job as a food delivery person. She worked for an app on her phone that sent her to restaurants to pick up food and deliver it to customers. She earned very little money for each delivery, maybe 500 naira or 1,000 naira. But it was better than nothing. Every day she would wake up early, put on her delivery uniform and go out on the streets with a bag on her back. She would walk or take the bus from one place to another, delivering food to people who were sitting in their comfortable homes, eating their meals. The work was hard and humiliating. People would not look her in the eyes when she delivered their food. Some would not even say thank you. Sometimes they would complain that the food was cold or that she was too slow. Once, a woman threw the food back at her because she said it was not what she ordered. Amina stood there with food all over her uniform and tears in her eyes, but she did not say anything. She just cleaned it up and left. She needed the money, so she had to accept this treatment. After delivering food, Amina also worked in a small retail shop selling clothes. She would stand behind the counter for 8 hours, folding clothes and helping customers. The pay was even less than the delivery job, but she needed every naira she could get. Her boss was a mean man who shouted at the workers if they made any mistakes. He would tell Amina that she should feel lucky to have a job at all, that she was lucky he was giving her a chance when no one else would. Living in that small room, eating cheap food, wearing old clothes, Amina had time to think about her life. She thought about the choices she had made. She remembered Kunal's kind face and his warm smile. She remembered how he had looked at her with so much love and respect. She remembered his dreams of building a successful business, and she wondered if he had achieved those dreams. She realized now that she had made the worst mistake of her life. She had thrown away a diamond and picked up a piece of broken glass. One day, while delivering food in a busy part of Lagos, Amina saw Kunal's name on a billboard. It was an advertisement for his company, talking about his charity work and his success in business. She stopped walking and just stared at the billboard. There was his picture, looking successful and happy. He had become exactly what he had dreamed of becoming. And she had left him for a criminal. The pain of that realization almost broke her. Amina also saw news on her phone about how Kunal was respected across the country. He had won awards for his business excellence and his charity work. He had created thousands of jobs for poor people. He had built schools and hospitals. He had become rich and famous, but more importantly, he had become a good man who helped others. Everything he had promised to do, he had done. And Amina had rejected him because she thought he was not good enough. The shame and regret burned in her chest like fire. Years had passed, and Amina was now working as a delivery person and a shop assistant, earning barely enough to survive. She lived in a one-room apartment that was smaller than the walk-in closet she used to have. She wore clothes with holes in them. She ate simple food like rice and beans and bread. She had lost her job at the big company, her respect in society, her family support, and most importantly, she had lost the love of the only man who had truly cared about her. She had gained nothing but pain, shame, and regret. The golden cage had become a prison of her own making, and now the cage was gone, leaving her with nothing at all. It was a Thursday afternoon when Amina's life changed forever. She had been working as a delivery person for almost 2 years now, and this day seemed like every other day. She had a long list of packages to deliver across different parts of Lagos. One of the addresses on her list was a fancy showroom in the wealthy part of the city. She had never been to that area much anymore. It was a place where rich people came to buy expensive things, and Amina did not belong there anymore. But she had a job to do, so she took the package and went. When Amina walked into the showroom, she was amazed by what she saw. It was the most beautiful place she had ever been inside. The floor was made of shiny marble that reflected like water. There were expensive cars displayed everywhere, each one looking like a work of art. The walls were white and clean, and there were big windows that let in bright sunlight. The air smelled fresh and clean, not like the dirty, dusty streets outside. It was a world of wealth and success, everything that Amina used to have and everything she had lost. Amina was looking at the reception area, trying to find the person who had ordered the package, when she heard a familiar voice. It was a voice she had not heard in 10 years, but she recognized it immediately. Her heart stopped beating for a moment. She turned around slowly and there he was. Kunal. He was standing with a group of important-looking business people, all wearing expensive suits and talking seriously about something. He was taller than she remembered, more confident, more handsome. He was dressed in an elegant gray suit that fit him perfectly. He wore an expensive watch on his wrist and shoes that looked like they cost more money than Amina earned in a month. Kunal was talking to the business people around him, explaining something about new car technology and business expansion. He was in the middle of a serious conversation, but something made him turn his head at just that moment. His eyes met Amina's eyes across the room and everything stopped. The conversation stopped. The world seemed to stop. For a moment, there was only Kunal and Amina, separated by distance but connected by 10 years of history and pain. Kunal's face showed shock and surprise. He had not expected to see her. For a moment, his expression was confused, like he was trying to understand if what he was seeing was real. But then something changed in his face. His shock turned into something else, something softer. It was compassion. It was not anger or revenge or bitterness. It was simply compassion, the kind of compassion that only a truly good person can feel for someone who has hurt them. Kunal excused himself from the business people and walked toward Amina. With each step he took, Amina felt more and more ashamed. She wanted to run away and hide, but her legs would not move. She was frozen in place, wearing her delivery uniform, which was dirty and worn. She was wearing old shoes with holes in them. Her hair was tied back in a simple way. She had no makeup on her face. She looked tired and poor, and Kunal looked successful and rich. The difference between them was so big that it made her want to cry. When Kunal reached her, he did not say anything for a moment. He just looked at her face. He saw that her eyes were tired. He saw that her hands were rough from hard work. He saw that she had lost weight. He saw that life had been hard on her. And in his eyes there was no judgment. There was only sadness and pity for what she had become. Kunal was a successful billionaire now, and Amina was a poor delivery person, but he did not look down on her. He looked at her like she was still the woman he had loved 10 years ago. Amina could not hold back her tears anymore. They came suddenly and fast, like rain falling from the sky. She started to cry right there in the middle of the beautiful showroom. The business people that Kunal had been talking to looked at them with confused faces, but Kunal did not care what they thought. He took Amina's hand gently and led her to a private office away from the other people. Inside the office, Amina broke down completely. She cried so hard that her whole body shook. Kunal gave her a tissue and let her cry, saying nothing, just being present with her in her pain. When Amina finally stopped crying enough to talk, she could barely speak. Her voice was broken and weak. She told Kunal how sorry she was for what she had done to him. She told him that rejecting him was the biggest mistake of her life. She told him that she had chosen money and material things instead of love and kindness, and it had destroyed her. She told him about her marriage to Malik, about how he had treated her badly, about how his crimes had left her with nothing. She told him that she had lost everything and she deserved it because she had made bad choices. Kunal listened to everything she said without interrupting her. When she was finished, he did something that surprised her. He smiled. It was not a cruel smile or a smile of triumph. It was a kind smile, a smile of understanding. He told her that he had forgiven her many years ago. He said that when she had rejected him, he had been hurt and angry, but he had used that pain to push himself forward. He told her that he was grateful for her rejection because it had made him work harder and become a better person. He said that everything he had achieved for himself, not to prove anything to her or to anyone else. Kunal looked at Amina with kindness in his eyes and asked her what she was doing now. Amina told him the truth about her job delivering food and working in a small shop. She told him that she had no family support, no savings and no hope for the future. She said she understood if he did not want to help her, that she did not deserve his help. But Kunal surprised her again. He told her that everyone deserves a second chance in life, and he believed that she was ready to change. Kunal offered Amina a job in his company. He told her that she could start in a simple position, but if she worked hard and showed dedication, she could grow and become successful. He told her that he did not want her to come back to him because of the money or success he had. He wanted her to come back to herself, to find her own strength and purpose. He told her that her past did not have to define her future, that she could choose to become a better person starting from that very moment. Amina could not believe what she was hearing. The man she had hurt so badly, the man whose heart she had broken, was offering to help her. She asked him why he would do such a kind thing for someone who had treated him so cruelly. Kunnel simply said that he had learned a long time ago that holding on to anger and bitterness only hurts the person who is holding it. He said that forgiveness was the most powerful thing a person could do. He said that he wanted to help her not because he still loved her romantically, but because he believed in the goodness of people and their ability to change. With tears still in her eyes, Amina accepted Kunnel's offer. She felt a small spark of hope in her heart for the first time in many years. She did not know what her future would bring, but she knew that she had been given a second chance, and she was determined not to waste it. Amina started her new job at Kunnel's company on a Monday morning. She was nervous and scared. She did not know if she could do this job well. She did not know if the other employees would accept her, knowing about her past and her connection to Kunnel. But she was determined to work hard and prove that she deserved this second chance. Kunnel had given her something precious and she was not going to waste it. The job that Kunnel gave her was not a high position. She was not put in an office with a fancy title. Instead, she was given a position in the administrative department, helping to organize files and manage schedules. It was simple work, the kind of work that did not require special skills. But Amina did not complain. She was grateful for any opportunity. She showed up early every day and stayed late. She did her work with care and attention. She was polite to everyone she met, from the managers to the cleaners. She did not act like she was better than anyone, even though she had once been married to a rich man and lived in a big house. The other employees noticed how hard Amina worked. They saw that she was humble and kind. They saw that she never complained or made excuses. They saw that she treated everyone with respect. Slowly they began to accept her. Some of them even started to like her. The manager of the administrative department, a woman named Tayo, noticed Amina's dedication and her good attitude. After 6 months, Tayo recommended that Amina be promoted to a better position. She was moved to the Human Resources Department, where she would help with employee matters and training. In the Human Resources Department, Amina discovered something new about herself. She was good at talking to people and understanding their problems. She was good at helping employees feel valued and important. She learned that when people were treated with kindness and respect, they worked better and were happier. Amina threw herself into this work with passion. She organized training programs for employees. She created a system for listening to workers' complaints and solving their problems. She started a mentoring program where experienced employees taught new employees how to do their jobs well. 2 years after starting at Kunnel's company, Amina had become one of the most respected people in the Human Resources Department. She was no longer just an employee. She was someone that people trusted and looked up to. Kunnel noticed her progress. He saw how much she had changed and grown. One day he called her into his office. Amina was nervous. She did not know what he wanted to talk to her about. But Kunnel smiled and told her that he wanted to give her a new opportunity. He wanted her to lead his company's corporate social responsibility program. The corporate social responsibility program was very important to Kunnel. It was the part of his business that helped poor and underprivileged people. The program gave money and resources to schools in poor neighborhoods. It provided training to young people who could not afford education. It helped small business owners start their own businesses. It provided healthcare to poor families. But Kunnel felt that the program needed someone who truly understood poverty and struggle, someone who had experienced hardship themselves. He believed that Amina was the right person for this job. At first, Amina did not believe she could do this job. She was afraid that she was not smart enough or experienced enough. But Kunnel told her that the most important thing was not experience or education. The most important thing was the desire to help other people and to make a real difference in their lives. He told her that Amina had suffered, and now she could use that suffering to help others who were suffering. He told her that she had learned what it was like to lose everything, and now she could help people who had lost everything to find hope again. Amina accepted the position, and she dedicated herself completely to this work. She visited poor neighborhoods and talked to people about their problems. She listened to their stories and their dreams. She understood their pain because she had experienced similar pain herself. She worked with schools to understand what they needed. She met with young people who wanted to learn and discover their talents. She talked to small business owners about their ideas and helped them get funding to start their businesses. Amina put her whole heart into this work. Under Amina's leadership, the corporate social responsibility program grew and became more effective. More money was given to schools. More young people were trained and educated. More small businesses were started. More families received health care. And most importantly, more people felt hope for their future. Amina would visit the neighborhoods where the program was working, and she would see children going to school in new buildings. She would see young people learning skills that would help them get good jobs. She would see families with medical care and better living conditions. Seeing these changes made her feel that her life had meaning and purpose now. 5 years after starting at Kunnal's company, Amina had become the head of the corporate social responsibility program. She was respected not only in Kunnal's company but also throughout Lagos and across the country. She was invited to speak at conferences about helping poor people. She was asked to advise the government on social programs. She had gone from being a delivery person with no hope to being a person who was making a real difference in people's lives. And the most amazing thing was that she had done this through hard work and dedication, not through luck or money. Meanwhile, Kunnal's personal life was also changing. He had met a woman named Ike at a charity event. Ike was beautiful, but more importantly, she was kind and good-hearted. Ike had been there with Kunnal during his early days when he was just a poor mechanic. She had believed in him when he had nothing. She had supported him through all his struggles. Ike had never left him and she had never wanted anything from him. She loved him for who he was, not for his money. Kunnal realized that Ike was the woman he should marry. She was not like Amina, who had chosen money over love. Ike had chosen love over money, and she had been loyal to him even before he became rich. Kunnal asked Ike to marry him and she said yes. Their wedding was a big celebration and many important people came. But Kunnal and Ike did not focus on the expensive things. They focused on the love and joy of being together. Amina was happy for them. She attended the wedding and congratulated them both. She meant it from her heart. Years passed and Amina and Kunnal became friends. They were no longer lovers, but they were people who had a history and who respected each other. Kunnal had a family now, with children who were being raised to be kind and generous like their parents. Amina never married again. Instead, she dedicated her life to her work helping poor people. She found that this work gave her more happiness and satisfaction than anything else ever could. One day, Amina was visiting a poor neighborhood where the corporate social responsibility program was building a new school. She was watching children play in the yard of the new school building when she had a moment of reflection. She thought about the woman she used to be, the woman who had chosen money and material things over love. She thought about how that woman had lost everything. But she also thought about how she had found something even more valuable than money. She had found purpose. She had found the ability to help other people. She had found peace with herself. Amina realized that true wealth was not measured in money or material possessions. True wealth was measured in the love you gave and received, in the positive impact you made on other people's lives, in the person you became through your struggles and growth. She had lost her house and her cars and her fancy clothes, but she had gained something much more valuable. She had gained a sense of purpose and meaning that money could never buy. Kunnal also understood this same truth. He was a billionaire and he had money and success beyond what most people could imagine. But he knew that his real wealth was not in his bank account. His real wealth was in the schools he had built, the jobs he had created, the lives he had changed. It was in the love of his wife and children. It was in the respect of people who knew him and trusted him. It was in the knowledge that he had used his talents to make the world a better place. Both Amina and Kunnal had learned that life is not about how much money you have or how many beautiful things you own. Life is about who you are as a person, how you treat other people, and what kind of impact you leave on the world. Amina had learned this lesson through losing everything. Kunnal had learned it through gaining everything and discovering that material success alone was not enough to make him happy. Together, they had discovered the true meaning of wealth, and they spent the rest of their lives sharing that discovery with everyone they met.